So the first place that we went to was the young people themselves. And we really wanted to make sure that we could harness their ideas and their energy to help us work through what we needed to do to deliver the next generation of Reach Out. So Reach Out Next Gen was what the project was aptly named. And it was a series of activities which we used to really find out what experience young people were looking for from the service, the things that were important to them, what was going to give them the biggest impact and get the greatest engagement from the young people that we work with. We wanted to define the user benefits, the things that were going to work for them and have the biggest impact on their mental health and well-being, and identify guiding principles for the design of the service so that we could really use them to underpin the way that we were going to take Reach Out into the future. And of course, we need to know how we're going to perform, so we wanted to identify evaluation criteria so that we could be really clear about the benefits that the service was going to have on the young people that we're using in the service. Slides are a little bit skewy, unfortunately, but a big component of the process that we went through for Reach Out Next Gen was participatory design. And that's really around a series of activities that allow young people to be actively involved in designing all elements of the service. It's not a one-off process. Participatory design is something that you use throughout the product development lifespan. So it's iterative. Young people are involved in the beginning at identifying what the issues are, what are the things that are important to them. They help us to position those ideas and really think through how are we going to make the biggest impact through development of the product and the concepts that then come out of that participatory design process. We can then use young people to help us in terms of testing those concepts and really giving us some iterative feedback around how we can continue to develop and improve the process and the services that we're delivering and developing. And not only do we get great results from that, it's actually a lot of fun. So we have had hundreds of young people involved in this process through the iterations of launching the site around 12 months ago. We worked in partnership with the Young and Well CRC to develop a participatory design framework as well. So if you go onto the Young and Well CRC website, you can download the framework, which gives you a lot more information about what's involved, the techniques that you can use, how you can engage young people, what are the different approaches. And we're also working towards having a practical guide, which will really help services to engage young people in product development in a really meaningful way. So that was around an 18-month, 2-year program, and the results of that are a whole different presentation altogether. I couldn't possibly fit that into this talk that I'm giving today. But the one thing that I did really want to emphasize as a key output, these user experience goals, and these are the themes that continued to emerge throughout that participatory design process. In fact, I've heard some of our staff walk around the office referring to this as the Reach Out Bible. That's how seriously we take these themes. So this is what young people told us. These are the things that we needed to make sure Reach Out did to underpin the service and deliver the maximum benefits to young people. They want Reach Out to help them to understand their experience and to recognise what it is that's going on for them. Reach Out needs to give them a range of actionable help options. They want things to do immediately, and they recognise that it's not one size fits all. What works for their friend might not be the thing that works best for them. They want Reach Out to show them the results, to give them feedback so that they can understand where the benefit lies and how it's impacting them and their mental health and well-being. They want Reach Out to connect them to other people, and we've heard a lot over the last couple of days of that importance of connection and feeling like you're not isolated and alone. Reach Out helps me help others. Sometimes it's not just about myself. Sometimes it's about being able to help a family member or a friend. And Reach Out needs to give me a range of options to get involved so that it's not just about a prescriptive approach. Young people want to be in control of their sort of help-seeking journey, so it's about giving them options and choices so that they can navigate that journey based on their own needs and experiences. And lastly, Reach Out is where I am. It needs to be in the places that I go at the times that I need it the most. So like I said, these are the 7 components and themes that we continually come back to whenever we're looking at service development and the goals that we're sort of achieving or looking to achieve in terms of delivering our service. Also, as part of our Next Gen process, we took the opportunity to review our program logics. We had a very robust evidence base which underpinned the different components of the service and the theory of behavioural change and the things that are going to make the biggest impact on young people's mental health and wellbeing in the short, the medium and the long term. So throughout this process, we did a gap analysis. We identified what the strengths were in the current service that we were delivering to young people. We identified opportunities so that we could see where the parts of the service were that we wanted to develop. And then we matched them up with the UX goals so that we could really be clear about where the opportunities were and how we needed to really, join those two components up to really maximise the benefit and engagement for the young people. This also laid the basis for our evaluation framework so that we could be really clear about how we were going to measure and monitor our new service and understand what impact it was having on the people that we were working with and for. So what's that all got to do with technology? We've got lots of ideas from young people about what they're looking for, and we've got a robust evidence base, and we've joined all of that up. And what we really needed to do was take those two components. We were making a significant investment in the infrastructure that we were going to use to deliver our site moving into the next decade. So we took that information and made sure that we optimized the platform that we were going to invest in so that we could harness the technology and maximize the impact. There are a range of things that came out of that process. And I'm going to touch on some of the key components of functionality now. This won't be holistic and it won't encompass everything that we've done. But first and foremost, we really needed to move into the world of mobile. I just was reading a couple of days ago that in terms of smartphone penetration, Australia is now second in the world. The projections are that is going to grow rapidly. So we really needed to make sure that we were at the forefront of mobile technology, that we really were able to optimize and enhance mobile capability and build on all the great functionality that this enables in terms of being able to deliver a really world-class mental health service and any service. It also meets the really important UX goal of reach out is where I am. Young people want to be able to take the information where they are at the times they need it most. So it was really important that we were able to give young people an opportunity to have that information at their fingertips. We've also been working on looking at short form content. So moving away from just delivering fact sheets and real stories for young people, looking at short-term content with tips and tools and ideas for young people that they can work on straight away and that are much more compatible with that mobile environment. Since we launched a year ago, we have doubled the access to the site through mobile technologies. Currently, about 35% of the people that access Reach Out are doing it through mobile, and we're expecting that that's going to continue to grow significantly over the next while. Another component of the new site that we thought was really important when we were looking at the infrastructure that we needed to set behind it was forum integration. Previously, the experience through Reach Out was that the main site and the forum component were on two different platforms. It was a fairly clunky user experience, and you needed to sign in and out of the different platforms and access the different components of the site separately. What our new platform does, it has an open API, which means that we can have a much more seamless transition between the site and the forums. It also enables us to surface some of the forum content on site. So if you're looking at a fact sheet on exam stress, you might also see a forum thread where people are having a conversation about what it's like, how they're feeling about exams, what's going on for them. And we can draw people through to the forums where they can be connected with other people who are going through similar things to themselves. And again, this has been live for about a year now, and we're seeing rapid growth in the forums. It's about a 10% growth month on month, which is really fantastic to see. We have about 2,000 registered users, which compared to some of the organisations we've heard here doesn't sound like a lot, but what we're also seeing is that there's tens of thousands of other young people that are accessing the forums, not necessarily as registered users, but are benefiting from the information that they're able to consume when they're there. Another thing that we really wanted to look at with the new site is really developing that sense of community, and we've heard a lot again over the last few days about how important that is, that young people feel like they're not isolated and they're not alone. There's a couple of things that really bring life to what is otherwise an anonymous community where you don't know the other users that are on site. We're now able to do things such as live counts of the other people that are using the site, so you know that you're part of a community, you know that there are other people there looking at the information and accessing the service as well. We're also able to do things like user ratings, so you get immediate feedback. You can have a look at who else has been consuming the content, what they're rating the content as. It gives you a real sense of aliveness. And the other benefit of user ratings is it gives us really great feedback in terms of looking at the information that young people are engaging with the most. Another thing that we've really paid a lot of attention to as we've relaunched our site was around content and SEO, or search engine optimization, I can never say that word, strategy. So we really revamped the information that was on site. There were two reasons for that. Partly because we really wanted the content to reflect the different stages that young people are going through. So the fact sheets that we now have on site, we classify them as recognition, definition, and practical tactical. So it's very much about the definition, helps to define what's going on. It gives very factual information about depression, anxiety, things like that. Recognition is very much about helping young people recognise the symptoms in themselves so that they can relate to what's going on and start to really understand what's going on for them. And practical tactical is very much about giving people things to do, ideas, tips of what they can do immediately for themselves to improve their mental health. When we rewrote the content, it was really important to us to make sure that we maximised the impact that we were going to have on helping young people find the content that was the most relevant to them. Derek spoke earlier about when young people now are looking for mental health information online, they go to Google. They type in what they're looking for in Google, and they hope that they're going to get information which is relevant, credible, high quality, all of those things. So when we rewrote our content, we made sure that we paid a lot of attention to the high impact keywords that were going to make sure that young people were able to access the information that was most relevant to them. The important thing is that we did that in conjunction with the young people themselves. So it wasn't about the language that we would use in terms of search terms. It was very much around, rather than putting things like depression, anxiety, melancholy, it was very much about I feel low, I feel down, I feel crap. And we worked very closely hand in hand with young people to develop a really comprehensive SEO strategy, which has resulted in August of this year, we've seen the highest volume of search traffic to reachout.com ever. So it really has been worthwhile to go through that process, pay that attention, get the young people involved in that process so that we can get them to the information that they need as quickly and as seamlessly as possible. As well as having what we think is a fairly snazzy front end and the look and feel and helping young people to navigate their way through the site more easily, we also have a much more sophisticated back end. And we're able to gather a really rich array of data, which helps us to understand the users that come to the site and how they're accessing the service. So we know a lot more about where users are coming from, where they're going to, and the journey that they're taking through the site. And this is really important for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it helps us in terms of iterative development and improvement of the site. If we're understanding how people are using the service, we can make improvements to their journey, to their experience, and constantly be considering the types of things that are going to enhance that experience and make it more seamless for them. The other thing that we've been able to do with this data is it's been really helpful for us in terms of our duty of care process. So we're able to now, rather than just rely on manual moderation, which we do during business hours and extended hours, I mentioned that earlier, we also are able to get automated reports. So we have a list of trigger words that are high risk that we can then get automated reports sent through to moderators, which give us the opportunity to react much more quickly to situations that might be high risk. So there's also a great benefit that we get off this platform in terms of safety and support for the young people we're working with. The last thing that really rich data enables you to do is it really helps you to personalise the experience for a user by understanding their journey and their experience. I was in a parallel session earlier where we talked about somebody was presenting on that opportunity to personalise information, and young people are going to be much more likely to engage with information that's relevant and meaningful and specific for them rather than generic information which is relevant to one and all. We've started dabbling a little bit in personalisation. What we've looked at the moment is using locality information, IP addresses to surface content on services, information about services from people's local area. But there is a whole lot of opportunity there for us to really start looking at user journeys and to become almost a little bit like Amazonian in terms of depending on people's experience and their pathway through the site, we can start recommending content to them that is relevant and specific and meaningful so that they're getting to the information that they need much more quickly. That is just a really quick snapshot of some of the things that we've been able to implement across the service in terms of functionality. But probably as equally as important as the functionality itself is the process that we went through. And we can't advocate enough for the importance of involving young people in that product development cycle. So while technology, we believe, is a wonderful enabler, we've heard so many things over the last couple of days about the great work that people are doing to use technology to improve the way that we provide services for young people. We believe that on its own, it's not always enough, and it really needs to be coupled with a really robust user experience design process and evidence-based program logics, so that you really understand the sort of theoretical behaviour change behind what you're doing. And when you take those three components in conjunction, then we believe that you offer a really innovative whole service process. Thank you. That's it.